It's Thursday, February 19th, 2026, and today marks the beginning of a severe weather event expected to hit the Ohio Valley. This will affect major cities such as St. Louis, Missouri, Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Louisville, Kentucky. This storm poses threats of damaging winds, large hail, and even the potential for significant tornadoes. An estimated 8 million people could be impacted by this event. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for severe weather, along with a 5% tornado risk within 25 miles of any given point outside of the highlighted areas. So in today's forecast, I will break down exactly what you need to know about where the storm will hit, when it will occur, and how to prepare and stay safe. And to begin this video, I want to go and take a look at our severe weather outlook, as this is sort of how we can view where these areas will be impacted. And this slight risk here actually affects, just this slight risk right here, affects up to 10 million people. So estimated of 10 million people. And like I said, this includes major cities like Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, which St. Louis has sort of backed out of this, but it'll still be affecting more of the eastern sides of St. Louis, Missouri, as well as even Louisville, Kentucky. So yeah, this does affect some pretty major cities out there. And so yeah, so the marginal risk will be receiving just some moderate thunderstorms, as well as over here back in California, there's also a marginal risk. Just means that you could see some moderate thunderstorms, and this slight risk is actually level 2 out of 5. So there's only 5 that you can go up to on severe weather events. And we are currently at a 2. So there's definitely something to keep sort of watching, as this could affect a lot of people, obviously, like I said, including a lot of major cities known in the U.S. So it's definitely something that it's going to be pretty significant. I don't think I'm going to go live today, honestly, but if I do, it'll be more of the late night hours, probably past the 4 or 5 p.m. mark. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and address that. But yeah, so here is our tornado outlook for today. We actually have a 5 to 9% risk within 25 miles of any given point in these highlighted areas. 2 to 4% risk of a tornado. Keep in mind, this is out of 60. This is not out of 100. So if you look at the chart down there, you can sort of see what we're at right now. But it's definitely something that is going to be a pretty significant event, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's definitely something that there will be a lot of YouTube channels live for, like Max Velocity, Ryan Hall, y'all, Weston's Weatherwise out there, Storm 575. They do more stuff like me. But yeah, we also actually have a 15% wind risk, 15 to 29% out of 60% wind risk. So it's definitely something that will have very damaging winds, and will impact a lot of areas, including Louisville, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, all those sort of areas that we have mentioned previously. And this does bring with it and also a 15 to 29% hail outlook risk, sort of. So it's definitely something that could bring probably about softball-sized hail in diameter. Tomorrow, we actually have a marginal risk issued for northern parts of Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, but that is not too much of a concern, as we'll break down into tomorrow's video. And we have had a lot of problems with the fire in the past, so I want to go ahead and take a look at our fire weather outlook for today. We actually have a critical level 2 out of 3 fire conditions in parts of the northern panhandle in Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma has currently declared a state of emergency. So if you are in Oklahoma, you are in a state of emergency. You probably need to evacuate as fast as you possibly can. Be gathering your belongings. If it's not safe to sort of do that, then I don't really know what to tell you there, honestly. And here is one quick little thing that I'm not going to look at too much today, but this really did catch my eye. There is a 40 to 69% out of 70% chance of critical conditions of fire in the southern parts of Florida, which this is obviously something that catches my eye, but if you're in Florida, just be prepared for some critical fire conditions as we move on into Monday, February 23rd. Now, I want to go ahead and take a look at two sort of models of this sort of forecast look here, otherwise known as the composite reflectivity. So this is what our future radar could look like. And beginning with our HRRR model, this is more of a HRRR stands for High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model. Some storms will start to fire up in the northern parts of Indiana as we move on into probably about 7-ish a.m., which is probably what it's looking like right now. And as we move on into the next hour or so around the 8 a.m. mark, this is what things will be looking like. Storms are obviously going to start to fire up. I don't think they'll be as significant around 11 a.m. As they are shown here. But once we hit the 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, there will definitely be some supercells, as well as some pretty heavy hail cores within this system. As we move on into 7 p.m., there will still continue to be some strong storms as we move on into even 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then pretty much moving all the way through 11 and into Friday, about 2 a.m. right now. This is what things should be looking like as we move on into early Friday morning hours, moving through West Virginia and Virginia, just dropping some heavy rain in more of the eastern sides of the country. Now I would like to go ahead and take a look at our RRFS model. Could not tell you what that stands for, but this is what things will be looking like as we move on into later on today, which just obviously highlights that things will be pretty significant. But starting off, what things were looking like right now. This is what things are looking like right now. Shows a little bit of a different type of system up here in the northern parts of Indiana. And this will be moving through much of Indiana, like I said, with some more rain showers coming on into Illinois. Things continue to stay pretty the same as the HRRR model, but storms really start to fire up in Illinois as we move on into late night hours, around 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then as we move on to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, this is what things are going to be looking like. This will definitely be probably a late night storm. It'll be continuing to stay pretty late. And yeah, it'll definitely be a widespread storm event, I guess you could say. So there's going to be some stronger storms up here in the West Virginia area, while there's some lighter storms ranging down all the way to areas like Columbus, Mississippi, even into parts of Russellville, Phil Campbell, Alabama. So it's definitely going to be a pretty widespread event, which it obviously gets into this line later on into the night as it's just a bunch of scattered storms. But we'll get on into the line probably about 11 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday. Which now I want to go and take a look at our CAPE, and this is what things are looking like right now. We've got some CAPE over Illinois, which for those of you who don't know what CAPE is, CAPE stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, and this is sort of just acts as like a fueler for tornadoes, and it's sort of just what fuels tornadoes and stuff. And so as the CAPE begins to form up in Illinois, it continues to like strengthen everywhere else, and there will be a decent amount of CAPE with this system, which CAPE is not our main highlight as an ingredient in this system, but it definitely is in some of the systems that we see in the tornado season back over there in the Texas and Oklahoma area. Which now I want to go and take a look at our wind shear, which for those of you who don't know what wind shear is, it's basically just another key ingredient for tornadoes to be able to form. And we have a pretty decent amount of wind shear. This is more of a highlight in the system, sort of a wind shear driven storm. But there will definitely be lots of wind shear that could lead up to possibilities of tornadoes. But it's definitely something that we will be watching, and we will update you if there's something that changes during the day. And we will make sure to let you know of that before this storm impacts you. Now, I want to go ahead and take a look at our SRH here, otherwise known as Storm Relative Helicity. This sort of just allows the storms to be able to like form into a supercell. It's pretty much just what makes tornadoes spin. And if you don't have it, you cannot have tornadoes, because tornadoes are obviously known for spinning. So, yeah. There's definitely going to be a decent amount of SRH, but overall nothing too crazy down in the Kentucky, Tennessee area. We will have a lot of SRH moving through the St. Louis, Missouri area into parts of central Illinois, as well as some pretty decent SRH down here up in the Tennessee areas, which is obviously not in the highlighted risk, but they're still a threat for this tornado event in the Tennessee area, as well as even parts of northern Alabama, which obviously there's not going to be any tornadoes with northern Alabama, as most of the ingredients are not lining up. But I still think there could be a small threat for parts of Tennessee. But there will definitely be a pretty significant threat for tornadoes up in the Illinois, Indiana, and Cincinnati, Ohio areas. Now, I want to go ahead and take a look at our dew point here, as the dew point is sort of what fuels all of the tornadoes, as this is sort of like our moisture, and tornadoes need moisture to have intensity. And there will definitely be a lot of moisture coming up from the Gulf Coast, being driven through parts of Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, which all the ingredients do not line up down in the very far southeast. So there would not be tornadoes with all this moisture, but there will definitely be some scattered rain showers down most of the south, as well as a lot of moisture sort of in the air. So it will be pretty humid for most of y'all, but there will be a decent amount of moisture up in this system here. So it's definitely something that we will be watching as we move on into this event, and we will update you, like I said, if anything changes. And I want to take a look at one last thing here, which is our precipitable water. And this is sort of how we can... it won't rain unless you have precipitable water in the area. There will definitely be a pretty significant amount of that scattered all across the outlined risk, which we saw earlier on in the video on the severe weather outlook, as well as the tornado outlook. And yeah, there will be some moisture in the south as well, causing a little bit of rain showers just far in the very south, but definitely a lot of rain mix across much of this system. And yeah, it won't be as rain wrapped if there is a tornado, but there will still be a decent amount of rain involved in this system as we move on into Friday early morning hours. Now, I do want to go ahead and do one last thing here, which is our safety and preparation. Safety and preparation is a key ingredient to having these events. If you're not safe and prepared, then you're obviously not going to be safe or prepared. It speaks for itself there practically, but you definitely need to get with your family if you have not already. I hope you did that yesterday, and talk about what you're going to do if there's a tornado warning, where you need to go during the tornado warnings. Have multiple ways to receive alerts, know where to go, have your assigned spot to go to, have an assigned role to play whenever you are trying to get to the tornado shelter, like somebody carry this, somebody carry that. Make sure everybody has their shoes on standby, as a lot of people are going to have to run to their safe places, and you never want to be in your safe place without shoes on practically, because say you do that, your house actually gets flattened by a tornado, which happens to a lot of people, although you may not believe it. But if your house gets flattened, you don't want to be walking out of your basement and stepping on a bunch of this rubble and leftover stuff that's definitely going to cut you from your house with bare feet or in your socks or whatever. So you definitely want to always be having sort of all your shoes on, I guess, so that way you're not cutting your feet whenever you're trying to get out of your safe place, and just prepare to help clean up or go wherever you need to go after this event. However, that was all we had to talk about today. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for tuning in. I hope y'all got something out of this. I hope y'all are prepared. Go meet with your family now if you have not already, because this event does start impacting us within the next 3 to 4 hours. And I will see y'all later on today, probably in a live stream, but most likely I might not be able to go live during the day hours, but I will see y'all next video or see y'all next live stream. Y'all can go watch Storm 575, who will be doing live coverage today, I'm sure. As well as probably Weston's weather-wise, Max Velocity, and Ryan Hall if anything kicks out, as well as Evan Freiberger. So, yeah, I will see y'all next time. Peace.